these two holes are where I'm going to mount this homemade bus bar here and holding it secure. And then I need to drill a whole bunch of tiny holes for these screws, because this is what's gonna hold all of the grounds that we have in the whole system. I'm going to use these ground screws to hold all of those in one spot, because everything has to be connected. And then I'll have one more big screw that are going to go to the negative terminal of my battery, or for right now to the ground or the negative on the little computer power supply that we're using to supply all of our lights in the system before we get our lithium. So that's what I'm going to do now, using this little device here. I call it a rapid tap. I don't know what the actual trade name for it is, but it drills a hole and then it threads the hole all in one bit, all in one motion. And use that, drill and thread the holes for this ground screw. Just to show you how this works. Drill the hole, tap the hole, put a screw in the hole. There we go. Now I'm going to go in fast speed. Alright, so this is our ground bus bar. You saw when we did the 2-wire wiring system, we ran both the black and the color wire into these into this bay. All of the black is all negative. All of those get tied together. But this is kind of the proper way to do it. We flattened a piece of 3/4 copper pipe to make this bus bar. The proper way to do it was to buy a bus bar that has a slot for each one, specifically designed for this. Those can get kind of spendy. This was $9 for each piece of copper pipe. Once you flatten it out, drill some holes in it and tap it with a 1032 thread. Then it will accept these ground screws, which you can buy in a pack of 100 from Home Depot. After you do that, you just crimp on your wire connectors, and then you feed it in and screw it down, and then you're good to go. So for each one of these goes out to another circuit that we have going in the truck. These down here are 2 runs going to be another bus bar that'll go and eventually tie into one line, decent size, going to the battery. So this is just splitting it off and splitting it off, spidering out, and then you get down to an outlet box. You'll have just one wire, one black wire, maybe 2 in that box. So we've got 2 runs of 10 gauge running down for each bus bar, and then I'm going to tie these 2 together. And the reason I'm doing so overkill on the ground bus bar is you really don't want to lose a ground. If you lose a ground, it's a pain to try to track down where you went wrong. We know that from last time we went to Willow. We were missing a ground, and it took about 3 hours to find one ground on one outlet and get that solved. So go overkill on your ground, make it better than you need, and yeah, I'm gonna keep on wiring, and then we'll come back when we're ready for the positive wires. If you have to do a lot of work on something, don't be afraid to make it easy. This little wire crimper costs about twice as much as you can buy at Home Depot, but that's 40 bucks. So yeah, it's kind of expensive, but like, I got so many crimp connections to do. could do it with one of those, just squeeze and hope it holds, but this makes it so much easier. It's color coded. They're color coded for size. So this is 12 to 10 gauge for the yellow, and then this one has the yellow dot. You just match it up and squeeze. It won't actually let go until you have a good crimp. Then it's done. It's on there. So don't be afraid to make it easy. All right. When we went to Willow, we noticed that there is an issue. Some of the wire sizes were a little bit too small. So I didn't have black 10 gauge wire at the time, but I needed to get the heater running. So I used yellow. That's fine until I get mixed up. So now I have to make sure every time that I cut that yellow wire, I put something black on there that shows me that it's black. In this case, I used a Sharpie, which I should not have. You want to use some electrical tape, or they actually make something called phase ink, which is exactly for this. In a commercial building or a residential building, sometimes you run out of a wire and you can change the color for whatever. You just have to clearly mark it. And the code book says so much distance has to be marked between each thing, and it's a whole big thing. So you don't want to run out of wire, but you can use a different color wire as a substitute.